Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 10 brawlers in this meta, just because it's probably only got realistically like a week or so before the update, because we've got Brawl Talk pretty soon, and also we know what the meta really is because of the World Finals. The best of the best competed, so really solidifying the meta. But also, as I mentioned before, is that they're holding back quite a few big changes, probably because of the World Finals. So I feel like this meta could really shift, well, the next meta. So that's why I want to make the best 10 brawlers now. But before we jump into it, make sure you're using the correct code. That'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so starting off with the 10th best brawler within this meta, we have Poco. So Poco, even though he did receive a small nerf with last set balance changes, I thought it would knock him down a lot more, but within the World Finals, he was actually used quite a fair bit. Out of 50 plus sets, he was used 9 times and also banned 9 times. So quick shout out to 4Reigns. I'll link him down below on Twitter, but he accumulated a bunch of data, so this will really help me define the top 10. But as I was saying, like, Poco is still a really annoying brawler to face off against, because you got to really keep your distance, not feed his super. Screeching solo is just so annoying to face off against, and a good Poco can easily survive for literally every single matchup. And in particular, Hot Zone is where you want to be pushing Poco as much as possible. It's just so annoying. Even on the most open maps, Poco on like Open Zone, for example, it's just so hard to deal with. You can just get infinite percentage on the zone, whilst, you know, if the opponents want to try and take you down, they're just going to feed your super even more. He's such an easy to hit main attack as well. You know, he's good in Brawl, being used quite a fair bit there. Also pretty underrated in Gem Grab, not really used outside of any other game mode, but Poco, he's still a really big threat in this meta. Alright guys, jumping into the 9th best brawler in the game right now, we have Buster. So Buster was easily the best brawler in the game upon release, but then he received quite a few nerfs and he'd take him down a little bit. He's still easily a top 10 brawler within the meta, but just because he's a tank, he gets countered a little bit too easily by, you know, breaking open walls, grass, etc. He really needs like a certain map for him to thrive, but he can easily absolutely dominate. If we're talking just ladder in particular, it probably is a lot higher, but taking drafting into consideration, you know, being a tank is still pretty easy to counter in some ways. But in the World Finals, he was picked 9 times and banned 15 times. So on certain maps in particular, it's pretty clear that he's such a power pick that no matter what, you have to still ban him out. It's still really annoying to face off against, specifically with his brand new second gadget and star power as well. He's pretty much usable on every single game mode because of his mechanic where you can slowly get your super with teammates around you. Buster is just still mechanically really broken. Okay, so now moving into the 8th best brawler within the game right now, we have Ruffs. So Ruffs has always been a top 10 brawler for such a long time. Just go in and around like the rankings, but I think 8th is pretty fair just because he's a brawler that of course is a good support brawler and he's just used pretty much everywhere. So in terms of the amount of times picked, he was picked 14 times in the World Finals, which was like the 4th most out of every single brawler, and also banned 12 times, which was the 4th most out of every single brawler. So it just goes to show that pros really hold value to Ruffs. The main reason why is because realistically, there actually isn't a lot that can really hard counter Ruffs. Like, his biggest counters are throwers because, of course, they can keep the distance against him and take him down or not feed that super. But even certain brawlers that you think counter Ruffs, you know, like aggro, in the long term, you know, you're just going to feed his super. He's going to be able to break open a wall, and then Ruffs is going to eventually be able to counter them. So yeah, it's really good across the board right now. Specifically, Zeta really value Ruffs, which just goes to show how strong he is. I think it's pretty usable on every single game mode right now. You see him being propped up, you know, in Heist a lot. Gem Grabby can be used on quite a few maps like Hard Rock Mine. Brawl, he's used a lot because of his wall breaks. Ruffs is just like the ultimate brawler right now. Okay, so next up, as the 7th best brawler in the game right now, we have B. But before we talk about B, we have to go through some honorable mentions, which of course will not be in a top 10, but definitely have some solid cases. So these are brawlers like Griff, Gale, we have a Jean, Brock, and then also Bell as well. So these are the brawlers that, again, they could easily make the top 10 brawlers and have been so prevalent in the Brawl Stars World Finals. But anyway, going on to B then. So everyone knows that B right now in the meta is just so incredibly strong. She has one of the longest ranges in the game. She has a really annoying gadget. Her slow can easily 1v3 certain brawlers, and she can just constantly be spamming out shots time and time again, you know, with the damage gate as well. It's just really hard to face off against a really good B. So she was actually picked the 5th most times in the World Finals, and also banned the 5th most times, which was, she was picked 13 times and banned 11. So Again, just showing some stats to prove just how strong B is right now. She's literally usable everywhere. Every single game mode, you can easily pull out a B. Okay, so next up, as the 6th best brawler in the game right now, we have Penny. So Penny, again, easily a top 10 brawler within the meta. It's so easy to tell as to why like pros pick her a lot. So she was picked like the 5th most within the world finals, which was 13 times, and then she was banned the most out of every single brawler, 21 times. And the main reason being is because Penny can get value into literally everything, and that is such a strong asset to have, specifically when you're trying to build a composition. You know, Penny is always the brawler to rely on, so you don't really want the opponent to get that pick because it's just so hard to really find a definitive counter. Like, there isn't really anyone I can pinpoint that fully counters Penny, right? Because even throwers, she can have somewhat of an okay matchup sometimes because she just has so much HP. You know, long range brawlers, she can have an okay matchup, and also aggro with the gadget, she can easily take them down pretty easily. So yeah, Penny just so incredibly strong right now. Every single game mode, I can see a reason as to why you can build your draft around a Penny. Okay, so next up, as the 5th best brawler within the game right now, we have Janet. So Janet, of course, it wouldn't be a top 10 brawler ranking video without her in. Ever since her inception, basically, she's been in the top 10 every single time, and she's still a really strong brawler. So I thought that Janet was slowly creeping out of the meta within scrims. I was watching a lot, and she weren't actually being picked nowhere near as much. But then during the world finals, literally everyone was using her, specifically Zeta. I felt like Zeta were even overusing her in some ways, but you know, they're the best team in the game, so obviously we've got things to learn about Janet for sure. So Janet, even against longer range brawlers, they're getting such insane value. The main reason being is, again, because her survivability is just insane. Her matchups against literally every single brawler are just so good, and you don't really face off against aggro compositions too often in draft, and that's why you can always kind of get away with playing a Janet. You know, in ladder, she's not like overwhelmingly, you know, strong, overpowered, but she's definitely in need of a nerf. She's just usable everywhere, right? There's just no way on earth that you could like go into a power league game and not consider a Janet for your draft. All right, guys, moving into the 4th best brawler in the game right now, we have Gus. So Gus right now is absolutely insane in the meta. He was banned out one of the most and also played one of the most. He was banned out 9 times and also picked 14 times. Just goes to show how incredibly strong Gus is. But it's mainly a map dependent brawler, just because, you know, of course he doesn't have like unlimited DPS, has a little bit of a slow reload speed as well, so you've got to really make use of your shots. But it's more of a map dependent brawler, as I said. You know, see him being picked on a lot of those defensive maps, but he just has so much pressure. I've seen, for example, I forgot who was actually entirely against, but I know it was one of the Zeta players. I think it was Tensai. He played it on a hot zone map and just absolutely destroyed everyone with the Gus. It's just insane when a good player gets his hands on this brawler. It's just so hard because you can easily hold onto your shield, and then when you're close to dying, you know, add yourself an extra 4k health. It's just insane. His gadget, you can just instantly pop it and deal so much damage. And then, you know, considering on like a game mode like Knockout, for example, you know, you're going to slowly be building up all of these passive abilities as the game goes on. It just becomes really hard for the enemy to really do anything against a good Gus player. All right, guys, jumping into the 3rd best brawler in the game right now. You guys might be questioning it because I did call this brawler pretty overrated within the last video or so. But Carl, he is the 3rd best brawler in the game right now, especially after watching the world finals. You know, good players can really make unreal things happen with Carl. You know, his flying hook gadget, his protective pirouette style power, you know, with the right combination, it can just be incredibly hard to kill a Carl player. Counters so much of the meta right now, and, you know, specifically side tempo on the Carl was absolutely insane. So, you know, a lot of these stats, you know, just because the best players in the world are playing it, but I still think that Carl is still an incredibly strong brawler. So he's actually picked the 2nd most 20 times out of every single brawler, and also banned out 14 times, which I think was the 2nd most ban rate as well. So it just goes to show that pros really value the Carl pick. But again, he's just usable everywhere. You know, bounty, he can easily collect the 1st star. Brawl, he can make a goal happen out of nowhere. Gem grab, again, he can just gadget onto the gem carrier or just gadget in general and apply a lot of pressure. Heist as well, he's still a pretty solid pick. You know, hot zone, it's probably not used as much on. And then Knockout as well, he can still hold a lot of value. He's just this brawler that can get value literally everywhere, and it's all to do with pressure in certain game modes, and Cole just gets so much pressure. Okay, so now jumping into the 2nd best brawler within the game right now, we have Max. So no surprises again, Max just completely dominates, specifically in competitive play. So she was actually picked, I think, the 3rd most out of every single brawler, 17 times. and then banned out, I think, the second most or even most 20 times. Just absolutely insane, these numbers with Max. And again, another brawler that is just pretty much usable everywhere. There's only a few counters to Max, you know, like Crow, for example. Stu can be an okay counter to Max, but overall, she's just so incredibly strong. The main reason being is because she can always get out of tough situations. You know, if a matchup isn't going your way, you can easily just pop the super, and then, you know, a matchup which wasn't favorable for yourself, all about speed, you're able just to be able get the pressure back pretty much instantly. So I'm also looking at all the maps and game modes, and I just can't pinpoint really a worst one. She's literally usable everywhere, and a good player, you know, like Tensai on the Max, can really dominate a game. And lastly, moving on to the best brawler in the game, no surprises here whatsoever, it is Otis. So Otis is a brawler which was picked 10 times more than any other brawler in the World Finals. 30 times Otis was picked. It was also banned, I think, the second most out of every brawler, 20 times. It's just insane. Otis, I need to explain, he's just the ultimate brawler in terms of versatility. He's just pretty much good everywhere, right? Every single game mode, every single map, you can always go in Otis. And I saw time and time again in the World Finals, you know, I watched it in person. I just knew teams were just going to pick it, even though a lot of times it can be like a safety brawler because, again, it's pretty easy to use, but also good against everything. There's just not really many matchups where you wouldn't use him on, you know. For example, Bounty, he's usable everywhere except for Shooting Star. You know, Brawl, even on some maps like Super Beach where there's a lot of walls, you can still get a lot of value. Gem Grab, he's usable everywhere there. Heist, he actually secretly does a lot of damage, and, you know, in a pinpoint precision lane type map like Bridge Too Far, he can still easily win his matchups. In a hot zone, you can get a lot of value with, and then even in knockout, you can get value with. His gadget's really strong, his super's really strong. You know how strong Otis is. He's just the ultimate brawler right now. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. I apologize if the video isn't up to scratch as always, but my voice just giving up on me throughout multiple of these recordings, but I need to get this video out. I can't be slacking anymore. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today's video. Let me know what you think of the top 10 ranking, and let me know whether you want to see like a balance change video prediction, because I feel like this update could be crazy in terms of changes in the meta. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.